Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, as promised earlier today, we discuss a very important issue, which is the thousands of projects, the mega projects that have been implemented inside Egypt, specifically over the last year or so, and in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, how these projects have been implemented and the role they have played to, of course, uphold the Egyptian economy during the COVID-19 crisis. Now, we're delighted to be joined this afternoon in the studio by our guest, the former professor of engineering, Dr. Mustapha Mudkor from Tanta University. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, Doctor. Now, Egypt is currently implementing lots of mega national projects all around the country in different areas, in different sectors, and in different fields. What are the importance of these mega projects, in your opinion, and how have they enabled Egypt to continue its development and growth process, even in light of the COVID-19 pandemic?
First, I'd like to indicate that through the COVID-19 pandemic,
yes.
Egypt is one of the few countries that were able to have economic growth
yes.
through this year. And that shows the capability of the Egyptians in taking projects for the country. Through the political leadership of Egypt, there are many projects, mega projects, that was planned in order to develop the country.
Yes.
Among those projects, if we speak about the new administrative capital,
Yes, of course.
is one of the mega projects that transform the desert land to a value-added land,
Yes.
Where it is planned to have more than 24,000 of buildings to take more than 7 million population of Egypt for that project. And this is gives the and that city is planned to be one of the smart cities that have infrastructure, smart infrastructure,
Yes.
For electricity, for water, for gas. And today, the first phase of the city is already accomplished, and the second phase already achieved, and that makes the dream true and happen.
Absolutely. Doctor, now, some projects are aimed, for example, at improving infrastructure. For example, others are aimed at improving the use of renewable sources of energy, etc. Others are aimed at furthering economic reforms, for example, in the country. How is this multifaceted approach to these development projects working towards the goal of development in the country?
Yeah, let me take one of the main subjects, which is the electricity
Yes.
sector. Due to the instability of Egypt between 2011 and 2013, there were crises in the electricity of Egypt.
We've definitely come a long way from the electrical cutouts and the
Yes,
shortages.
yes,
Absolutely.
After the stability, the return of stability to Egypt in 2014, the first priority of the President Sisi was the electricity, and that was a wise and right direction. And it was that the problem at that time was of three different reasons, was because of three different reasons. I'm just explaining this to show how these projects led to the development of the country. So at that time, the first reason was due to a shortage of installed capacity. So we have a lack of installed capacity. Second, it was due to a shortage of fuel gas, which is the main source of the fuel for the electricity. Third was due to the maintenance and the shortage of spare parts and the financial resources to support the to support the maintenance. Yeah. So at that time, a cooperation and joint forces between all the ministries, Minister of Electricity, Minister of Finance, Minister of Petroleum, Minister of Defense, under a tireless day-to-day follow-up and support from the President, Egypt were able to overcome this problem by solving the three issues and making a miracle by solving the electricity issue. And the result was that in the summer of 2015, there was no electricity cut.
Yes.
And it doesn't stop at that, but they continued to build three giant projects in 2 years to have more than 16,000 megawatt added to the grid, in addition to 1.8 gigawatt of solar energy, which is the largest solar power plant in the world. And that all was accomplished in less than 4 years.
Record
That's
time.
also another miracle.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Egypt is diversifying its energy inputs. For example, we've just seen recently President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi meeting with the Russian national nuclear plant, Rosatom, I believe, who are in charge of building the Daba nuclear power plant station in... this is another very important project and another main source of fulfillment of Egyptian aspirations in this sector.
Sure, sure. It's very important because it represents one low-cost source of energy.
Yes.
It's a strategic project.
Absolutely.
It's again, as you said, the energy sources of Egypt now, we have very good mix of energy. We have a fuel, a conventional fuel source. We have renewable energy. We will have the nuclear. We have the water, the hydro power plants sources. So
and wind and wind energy.
Yeah, it's part of the renewable energy.
Absolutely.
So today we are having more. We were able to increase the capacity from about 30 gigawatt of energy of power to more than 55 gigawatt in less than 4 years. That's a miracle.
Impressive, absolutely.
Yeah, and that now today we have a lot of surplus power for future development, industrial infrastructure,
even
and
export.
Agriculture, and also export. We already exporting now energy to many neighbor countries.
Absolutely.
And currently there is many projects to start to establish transportation networks to export energy to neighbor countries and to Europe also.
Absolutely. Right, Doctor, another interesting point is projects, these development projects are distributed in different areas around the country. They're not all just focused on the capital or the second largest city, Alexandria. No, we see different development projects, some in Sinai, some in Upper Egypt, some in the northern areas. There's lots of different areas that are under development.
The map of Egypt is changing.
Yes.
We are, yeah.
Yes, carry on.
Yes. The map of Egypt is changing. If you see today, you will see projects everywhere. I said every square meter of Egypt today, there is a project.
Some development happening.
There is a development happening.
Yes.
We have projects in South Valley. We have in Tushka project. I was, and it's very interesting project. As you may, everybody knows about Tushka project, and it's a standstill situation since long time, and the project did not have the planned results. Today, President Sisi has put this project in his priorities, and there were a plan to make reclamation, land reclamation for more than 300,000 acres of land within 1 year. It happened that in the last 3 months, another miracle in the South Valley in Tushka happened by accomplishing or achieving reclamation of 40,000 acres of land to and the plantation of wheat for this
Yes,
winter
the
already
harvest.
already done, and that was also in
And that
3
is
months.
really very impressive to bridge the gap between our needs, our importing of wheat, especially since this is the staple here in Egypt,
Yeah.
And to be able to produce enough to spare and to prevent the increasing of importing. Of the
Actually,
wheat.
Tushka project is one of the projects for the sake of closing this gap
Yes.
and have a self-sufficient of the wheat in Egypt.
Plus, of course, the 1.5 million for dam reclamation project aimed at closing again the gap between the needs of the population, the very
And you
famous.
see this everywhere in Egypt. You see in Tushka, in Farafra, in east of Uwainat, and in everywhere in Egypt, in Sinai. We have today, there is many projects and planning for the expansion of the electrical network to Sinai and to the West Valley. So there is many projects today under the construction to expand the transportation network, the water network, and the electricity network as an infrastructure for the future development of the land.
Which leads me to two very important questions. The first of which being all this development leads to the creation of job and employment opportunities for Egyptians. How important is that? Because it's a holistic approach to development in the country. It's important to develop infrastructure, etc. But what is the reason behind all of this? To develop the citizen.
Yes.
Yes, the citizen himself and herself, their development and their aspirations. So all this development leads to job opportunities, the creation of employment opportunities for all Egyptians, whether youngsters, elders, professionals, practitioners, etc. How important is this as the cumulative effect of this development?
Yeah, that's very important. And one of the very good points is that since 6 years, since 2014 till today, all the projects done in Egypt is done by Egyptians.
Yes.
The private companies in the last 6 years has done a lot of projects that led to a lot of development, human development for the people, creation of a lot of jobs, and the most important is that participating in the construction of the national projects in Egypt improved the skills and capabilities of the local companies.
Yes.
That is leading to having the opportunity to go outside Egypt and start to participate in the development of the African countries and the neighbor Arab countries. There were a delegation to Iraq about a month ago for the restructure of Iraq and the participation of the Egyptian companies in the reconstruction of Iraq. The redevelopment of Africa, or the development of Africa, today the market is open for the Egyptian companies. The most important is due to the making the or participating in the Egyptian projects in the last 6 years allowed the Egyptian companies to have the capability to go outside and to participate in the development of the other countries. Like
and similarly, the development inside Egypt has encouraged foreign investment, other countries to come and invest directly inside Egypt. In Egypt.
What is the result of all the infrastructure projects that being done, like in the electricity, the transportation, the water? All of this is to have a healthy environment for the private investors and international investors to come and invest in Egypt. Egypt is a huge market and is a very strong market for all the investors worldwide to come and invest. And today, the vision of Egypt is to is to have, as I said, the new capital is planned to be smart city. We are having projects for smart transportation,
yes,
and the smart roads. So that means we are in the direction of having a really civilized nation, and having projects and good environment for the investors to come and invest in.
Indeed. Now, Doctor, Egypt took a very difficult decision in light and in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, where lots of markets and countries were going on full shutdown, full lockdown, and they suffered economic collapse after this. However, Egypt tried to balance it out, slowing down, etc. However, lots of these mega projects continued, and the work did not stop. It continued even through the crisis, of course, with the encouragement of the implementation of all precautionary measures amongst workers, etc. How did this help Egypt, overcome this difficult period? Especially 2020 has been a difficult year all over the world, not just for Egypt.
You see, actually, the management of this situation by the government was very also wise and was very intelligent. Because there were a balance between the precautions to be taken to avoid the COVID-19, and at the same time to keep the country and to keep the economy of the country. And that was a good balance that allowed the projects to continue, and the economy of Egypt that led to a progress of the economy, although of the suffering of most of the other countries due to the COVID-19.
Yes. Another main aim, it's no longer just to develop or development of a country, but the sustainable development, the importance of ensuring that this development continues and is sustainable not just for this generation but for many generations to come. Sustainable development has also become a main priority of the Egypt agenda for 2030. Tell us a bit about the importance and how the issue of sustainable development has really changed the way that development projects are being implemented on the ground inside Egypt.
Yes. You see, the sustainable development is part of the 2030 plan of Egypt.
Agenda, yes.
And there are, in the projects, when, for instance, we speak about smart roads or smart grids of electricity or smart transportation, that's all to achieve the sustainability of the development. So it is the way of planning of the project, the kind of projects that's being implemented to be smart, to be to solve the Egyptian issues and to close the gap between the needs and the availability. That's all to achieve the sustainability or the sustainable development of the country.
Absolutely. So. I'm afraid we've run out of time rather quickly. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Professor of Engineering, Dr. Mustapha Mudkur from Tanta University. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for today's edition of Cairo Local Time. We do hope you have enjoyed it. My name is Angie Mehermani. Thanks for joining us.